Hi everyone, this is Emily, a financial technology consultant at Hyperbot Systems. For today's discussion, I'm pleased to have John on the call with me. John is a CEO at Live Data LLC, and today we'll be talking about the journey of automation in the past versus now, especially in the finance and accounting segment. So, before we begin, John, do you mind telling us a little more about yourself?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, and it's a topic that I love to talk about on how to automate. I've been doing it my entire career, is going in, and it started with Excel sheets and trying to figure out how to make them work as simply as possible. And then throughout my career, I've continued to see technology evolve and be able to utilize it. So now running Live Data LLC, and in that business, we go in and help out companies to do finance automation and process improvements throughout the business.
Got it. Thank you so much for the introduction, John. So, in the past, you've said that you're a firm believer in the power of automation, right? And over the last decade, you have spearheaded many automation projects in various organizations. So, would you summarize what kind of automation projects you have implemented?
Yeah, so the biggest projects I've done is trying to get the finance person to be working on things that really add value instead of trying to pull together a bunch of reports and things like that. So I started out with building Excel models, using Hyperion, using analytics, using financial reporting and things like that, where you're just pulling data and getting it into a simplified way that you can start doing some of the storytelling and things like that. And then it was more the automated processes and things like that, where you could use bots and things where you could copy a process over and over again through tools like UiPath. And then getting invoices so you don't do manual data entry across the board as OCR technologies have come out and things. And now I'm excited working with Hyperbots on the AI automation, the next generation of our automation for finance.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So, John, at present, we see a lot of AI buzz all around us with claims of AI transforming the way business is conducted. So, what is your take on that?
Yeah, AI has been around for a really long time. It's the buzz around it is really because we can now utilize it in a different way than we ever have before. It's not just making machines more intelligent and things through data. It can actually process all the data pretty much that's out there in the world on the web, and also your internal data to come up with better quality of answers and things, and to help us out to get answers to things that we may not have been able to do, or we might have had to do a lot of research and try to figure things out that took weeks, now can take minutes.
Yep, I do agree. So, what have you been hearing in your peer group about the possibility of AI transforming finance and accounting processes?
Yeah, so it's a critical time for accounting and for finance to really adopt technology. In the past, finance people have generally thought that they could do it on their own, or keep it manually in Excel and those types of things. But now, with the amount of time and the shortage of accountants, particularly in the US, and the complexity of tax laws and the complexity of volumes of transactions and things that finance people have to go through, it is critical that we adopt the latest and greatest technologies, and we are at the forefront of it, so we can be ahead versus be behind our competitors, and not be able to. We're going to be spending money on basically the processing of invoices, processing of data, and all that with people, versus spending a tenth of the cost potentially with doing things that adopting the latest technologies.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So, when we talk about the difference that you see in automation back then versus what automation is now, what impact does it really have from a business perspective?
Yeah, on a business perspective, it's a tool that we can go beyond and make us better than we ever have before. It can suggest things to us that we may not have even thought of, based on the data and impact. In the past, you could just try to pull numbers and things, and you would freeze your computer, or you would set it to calculate, and you would come back the next day when it's finished. Now you can get not only that data, but you can get something in natural language to come back and tell you, exactly what the data means, what's a synopsis, what's a hypothesis, what are some of the things, and then it can even tell you other areas to look at, or it can tell you things where you might have issues in the data. You can actually use the AI to correct you, or to say, hey, this might not be as accurate as you thought.
That's true. So, you spoke about some of the intelligent tasks which were not automatable in the older automation paradigm. Can you give me some examples?
Yeah, so the biggest example in the past that you couldn't automate was really getting back. I used to, like, it goes back to when I implemented Hyperion the first time. Hyperion automated all of our reporting and everything, but it could not tell you anything about that data or information. So today we can actually see and have information come back from AI, and it can tell you, hey, your variances are this, and this is what caused it. It's due to volume, it's due to price, it's due to these different things. It can look at the data and come back with an intelligent response.
Got it. Understood. So let's just pick one example of invoice processing, right? Can you elaborate what intelligence AI can bring in and what additional gain it can manifest to automation productivity?
Yeah, so in the past, invoice automation, it used to try to, the invoices, if they weren't consistent and things, it would end up in different places, or you wouldn't get all the data, and you'd have to correct a lot of data, and it would still have to have a lot of human interaction to go and change the data or update. We could pull out some of it. But now with AI, the invoices don't have to be exact, but it can find things. It can go into the data and understand what is the actual invoice amount, what were the tax amounts, what was this for, which vendor, all that information it can pull out, and then it can put that data in the right places. It give you suggestions on, hey, this is over 12 months, it needs to be amortized, or this can be it needs to be basically capitalized. You could do capitalized. It can look at tax law. It can give you suggestions where you can make accounting better and ultimately save the company money, or have all your information of those invoices processed accurately. Where it used to be an accounting clerk had to think about it, but an accounting clerk doesn't necessarily know or have a CPA in those things that's processing data, and then it would have to go get checked again and checked again. Now you can alleviate some of that data entry and go directly to a review process to say it's accurate, or if it meets all the criteria that you've already put in the system and the AI checks it, you don't even have to check it. It's telling you it's success. And you could spot check, you could do things, but it has more ability to be accurate than ever before.
Right. We certainly have come a long way. So, why do you think this was not possible before? I mean, what techniques and technology do you think has changed the landscape of automation?
Yeah, the biggest technologies that's changed is you have your compute power today. That you're able to go through endless amounts of data in seconds that used to take weeks. I remember running just the reserve calcs, at one of my companies, that we literally had SQL people pulling data and trying to pull all this together and running. It literally had to run for 18 hours before you could even see what that was. And you obviously can't run that daily or anything to see or estimate what your reserve calcs would be. that now can come back in seconds, and it can tell you, hey, there's a problem with it, or even go down to an account in detailed level and give you a specific data set that says, hey, this data set needs to be looked at within the data and things like that. So it's a lot more just the compute power, and then the ability to talk to you in a language that we can all understand. You don't have to know SQL. You don't have to be a programmer now. You can speak in natural language and get information back.
Uh-huh. Got it. Yeah. And what tasks or processes, finance and accounting context, do you believe would always require human intelligence at the end of the day?
Yeah, so there's always going to be tasks. I think the AI, the technologies and things make us better, just like a calculator made us better to be more accurate and to give information. Now we're getting that to the next level where we can understand pictures, understand the data, the words, and those things. But you can still have hallucinations and and things that happen within our AI frameworks. So that's going to need to be reviewed. And then when you get into strategy and to really think about stuff that there's no data or information that AI can make an intelligent synopsis or go to market a strategy of how you're going to do something going forward. In the future, AI is going to struggle with that because it's not, if the data doesn't exist yet, there's nothing for it to make an intelligent discussion. But versus humans can continue to think about it and come up with reason of why certain things will work or not work. So that creative piece will always be there, but then it's also that we're going to work hand in hand with AI forever, and it's just going to make us better, just like the calculator did.
I agree. So, what is the difference in the gain that you see through traditional automation versus what it is today, the AI-led automation?
Yeah, traditional automation, all the tasks and everything had to be exact, and the processes couldn't change at all. Now with AI, it might be able to even do something new based on other data and information and come up with something that's intelligent, or do a process without you having to train a RPA model or something like that. It can actually come up with what that RPA model should look like, or how should you program something, or how can you make it even better from an automation standpoint, or hey, you could check this against this data set, and now you have even better data and information. So we're at a really turning point of information, but we have to be careful too, because it's information overload. And again, you can have the hallucinations and things that happen with this data. So I think it's critical that we use it with our oversight to help us suggest answers and things. But then there's things that AI won't think about that we'll think about as humans, and vice versa. We'll think about things that AI can't. So it works hand in hand, but it's not 100% of all the things, but it can make us all better.
Got it. Yeah, there's that fine balance. So,
yeah.
Any additional challenges that you foresee for CFOs, in order to adopt AI-led automation?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be challenges, just like there is with any new technology and any rollouts and things like that. And I've mentioned a little bit about like how AI can come back with bad answers or things like that, just based on the data that's in there. There's also it could be used in bad ways too, and things like that. Just like we have cybersecurity risks and things like that. That can obviously, you can change and affect the data model very rapidly. So it's critical that we are on top of security in this. And once there is a breach, or a big, large vendor has an issue, or they have a earnings misstatement or something because they trusted the AI too much and we didn't use it hand in hand, those things will be roadblocks, and it'll cause adoption to decrease when we really need to increase in order to get to the next level and be able to do things that are better for business and can get us to that next level.
That's true. That's true. So, how do you see AI-led automation impacting finance and accounting over the next 2 years?
Yeah, so in the next 2 years, it's going to impact us in a variety of ways. So in the accounting functions, as you go to audit and stuff like that, every vendor is going to be trying to adopt AI in some fashion from the software side. There's also going to be a lot of tools like we have with hyperbots and things like that that are going to be able to add on and make these other tools even better. So it is critical. There's going to be adoption. There's also going to be people not adopting and get left behind. But you're going to see adoption, I think, faster than we've ever seen before because there is that shortage and there's that investment required and we have to get the job done. There's deadlines in finance. So it's one of the most critical areas. You can't miss your earnings. You can't miss the timelines and deadlines for audit, for bank covenants, for all those types of things. So if we don't adopt, we're not going to be able to hit that, and there's not enough resources from a people standpoint to continue to hit these deadlines and things that we need to, and to be accurate. We just saw, even yesterday, we saw a misstatement on one of the earnings reports by a major company, and all of a sudden, the CFO is having to do it in the earnings guidance on the earnings call and just talk about the misstatement, talk about a percentage increase that is expected over the year versus basis points and things like that. AI can help us catch these errors before it goes out. So you're going to see those that adopt less errors, but you're also going to see potentially companies release something and trust AI a little bit too much. So we have to be very cautious, but at the same time, we have to adopt it. Otherwise, we're not going to hit the important deadlines that we have in finance.
Correct. There's positives and negatives for sure. So do you have any advice for CFOs who have heard about AI but still not sure how to go about exploring it for their operations?
Yeah, so the biggest it's hard to navigate because there's so much information and it is a big buzz out there, and you don't even realize that you're using AI in some places because it's built and native in a lot of our platforms, and vendors are starting to have it to some degree where it's automating in your ERP systems and things like that. It's there. But to get to the latest and greatest and to really understand, how are we adopting, you need to talk to first the people that you already know that you're working with and those vendors, and then reach out to these other technologies, stay current, read about, use AI. You can go on the internet and do AI searches and things like that, and talk about, have those conversations about what's next in AI. How can I use it? How can I do it? Or bring in consulting or hyperbots or these things and just talk to them, get demos, understand what their processes are, and then how they're ensuring that they're continuing to be accurate.
That's really great advice, John. So, thank you so much for your presence. Talking to you about, the evolution of automation, it was really enlightening, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.